Hello, my name is Tom. Some of you guys may know me as Tommy. It's going to be another late night. I'm here in my room by myself, renting a room right now, and I'm going to be talking about how it's like for Gen Z, millennials, some older people as well. And it's going to be about the job market. It's going to be about life and perspective in America and going to college and then getting laid off from, a job, a career that you were supposed to work in. So myself, I have been laid off from my financial job. Right after college, I in college, I pursued economics and I pursued specifically a job in finance. And after a long search to get a job in finance, I got a job and, I was laid off. And there's a lot of thoughts that go through my head, and I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts that go through everybody else's head after watching this. Probably you've been laid off, and the thing is that after you accomplish something, you get it. It doesn't feel as good after you've been there a while, and then once you lose it, the pain is more than twice. I think it's scientifically proven, and I can tell you right now, it's not very fun being laid off, especially when you work so hard to get the job in the first place. And then you're back into the job market and there's now less jobs available. Doesn't exactly fill you with self esteem. Myself, I'm not personally bothered too much. I take it day by day where I know exactly what I want to do in my life. I know exactly what I want and I have my purpose, and I don't tie my belief in myself with my job, how I make money. So let's talk about that. The reason why people are, especially Gen Z or millennials, are suffering a lot right now, in my opinion, and we'll just use my story to maybe help you guys understand this. People tie their belief system, their self esteem, their confidence in themselves, usually by what they spend their life pursuing, which is usually into pursuit of something that makes other people happy. Maybe it's your parents, but regardless, for example, myself, a long time ago in high school, I had a different career path. I wanted to go into the medical field um, because I thought it would be a great way to learn a useful skill, help people, make money, and that's what I believed in myself to do. But after soul searching, I found out that I didn't exactly want to work in the medical field. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just simply not something that interests me as much as other subjects. And I found my love for, understanding how money works. Because, hey, if you want to make money, why don't you learn about money? Exactly. So, anyways, I go to college, go to take my classes. I actually never finished college, but I actually got a job in finance. And there's a big story with that. The big story with that was I would constantly apply online, job boards, job after job, no response. And I figured out it wasn't working. And very fast, I figured out maybe I should call these people up ahead of time in the companies and just think outside the box. And after countless tries, I eventually got the job. I got a job recruiter that said, "Hey, you have a nice resume. Come in for an interview with the hiring manager and we'll get you hired." And I did. I got the job. And they actually were laying off people in my industry at the time. And I'm sure it's not a very rare story nowadays. People are getting jobs or have been working in their jobs for quite a while, and now they're being laid off like nothing. And the issue with that is that you've been job searching for a long time. But the thing is, when you're now, what a lot of people are finding out is that there are less jobs available. I mean, obviously, there's numbers out there saying that there's more jobs, great job growth. We all kind of know it's kind of, let's not mince words, it's bullshit. Because, I mean, they also say that inflation's going down, but look at your grocery prices. And that's what I'm talking about right there. I would work at this company. I would work there for 2 months, and it's not their fault. They were just simply cutting costs, and they just laid people off. And I was on the short stick, a new person, a newbie essentially, that was in the field of finance. And I got laid off after spending so much time to get the licenses, the certifications, applying for jobs, resumes, calling the companies up, so much effort, getting the training, talking to people, meeting new people, and being so hopeful and excited for the future in my career in finance. And to be laid off is not exactly the best feeling. I'm not hysterical, obviously. I'm just in my room right now, late at night, ruminating. And uh, I'm sure a lot of people go through a lot worse. They spend more decades, years even, at their job only to be laid off in the last couple years. And I think we know what I'm talking about. The last couple years since 2020, people have just been like that. And it's difficult. People are losing their confidence, or losing their self-esteem. You can see it in public where people have a short fuse. You can see it in how young people like myself maybe decide, hey, I already have so much on my plate. How can I possibly have kids? Now, me personally speaking, I'm not going to say about my plans. I would like kids, but for a lot of people my age, they came to the conclusion maybe it's a smart idea not to have kids because, let's face it, kids are very expensive nowadays, and they can barely keep the friends that they already have. I mean, people are no longer having friends nowadays. They don't even go out. How can you expect to have a partner to last you an entire lifetime? Unless you're very intentional with your life, which I am, but most people aren't because it's a lot of work. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's meant to find a partner. Not everybody's meant to find something. But regardless, we're talking about people's partner in the job market. Well, there's less jobs because people are getting laid off. If there's so many people being laid off, what does that spell for young people like millennials and Gen Z who have barely any job qualifications? I have experience myself. I got a second job right after the first job. But regardless, the fact that a lot of people, or companies I should say, are demanding years of experience that most people, young people don't have, millennials, Gen Z don't have, and are actively laying people off of all ages, that's a lot of people competing for the shrinking pie of that job market right there, that amount of jobs in the economy. And that can be in anything. That can be in nursing. That can be in marketing. That can be in computer science. It can be in friggin' philosophy. It can be in all these fields, doctors even, where people are competing for the shrinking pie that is called an American economy. I mean, your dollars are being worth less. I mean, obviously that means that companies just have less money to spend because there's not much profit being made, no more revenue because people aren't buying stuff anymore in the economy. Therefore, it means less money to be spent on workers. And I'm not here to say that the companies are bad or good for firing these people, but they're looking out for their own self-interest. And the short end of the stick are people like you, people who have less jobs, competing against everybody else for that shrinking pie. And I can tell you, like from the very beginning, after having a couple years in finance, I'm lucky to have the experience where I can get rehired somewhat fairly quick. I have that appreciation for what I have already, but I feel absolutely terrible about everybody out right now in the job market, including myself. Young people coming out of high school, young people coming out of college, young people already who have college degrees and they're going back to college, people who are graduating now in college, people who have been working for 10 years in their field, whatever it is, wherever in the United States. California, Washington State, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Montana, freaking Florida, freaking North Carolina, all these places in the United States, Canada even, the UK, United Kingdom, people in Europe, Portugal, Spain, Italy, all of these places, people are having difficulty finding jobs. And that's because the economy is winding down. Ebbs and flows. I mean, if you're a finance major, you would know what that means. It comes in cycles. And unfortunately, sometimes these cycles last longer than 1 year, last longer than a couple years, last longer than even 10 years even. Not to scare you, but that's just the reality of the situation, is that people are having a very difficult time finding any jobs available at all because they'll demand a lot of stuff. And the issue is with this is it's new, it's different nowadays where you don't even have a person looking at your job application, your resume. I remember when I was applying a couple years ago for my financial job right after college, um, nobody would read the resume. I would just get auto responded in email saying we're looking for new candidates. Nowadays they have automatic. I was going through it recently. AI just breezing through your resume like it's nothing. It doesn't even matter. They don't even want to call you to get a talk. It takes 5 minutes to get a talk, and it's like so dehumanizing. And the thing is like the thing is that what does that do for a person's confidence? Applying job after job. I would see people applying for 500 jobs, 800 jobs, and a lot of people say that's on the low end. I thought I was going. I thought I was some guy who's on a streak when I go with 40 job applications. I thought that was a lot. There are people doing 800 job applications, and they're saying that's tiny. And when they would do the job applications, 50 people apply that same day. They see on the job board. What does that do for their self-esteem? It crushes them. So there's a lot of people saying that the younger generations are lazy. I want to dispel that myth right now. What you see on the internet, the ones that are making it, that are spoiled as heck, who hit the lotto, yeah, those are the people that people pay attention to because they're very flashy. But what you don't see is the people that are graduating now with their degrees in something that's probably not really stupid, and they're having a hard time getting a job. People have experience. They have a hard time getting a job, and nobody understands why. And that's so hard to say. And my only advice for people who are getting laid off, who are getting fired, who are not sure what to do with themselves. They spent so many years getting the experience. Sometimes it's a lot easier just to move on to whatever is possible. As in, you shouldn't be anchored down to your field, your major, your belief system into yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, you got that job in the first place just to make money. Don't let it consume you. Don't let it break you down as a person. I'm sure you, like, at the end of the day, you don't work. You don't live to work. You work to live. You want to spend your days not working 70 hours per week. I'm assuming. I mean, sure, you got some responsibilities, but I'm sure you want to spend a nice day at the park with your family, with your dog or cat. I'm sure you want to spend your days laughing, making food. I'm sure you want to spend your days with your loved ones. And that's what I want you, that's the message I want to leave with you, is to remember exactly why you're working and don't let it consume you, because at the end of the day, I highly doubt you're only working just to work. And if you are, good for you for being able to find your passion. I know I've found my passion, and not necessarily in finance. And I do have the confidence to completely separate myself from my field. But the issue is a lot of people are having a hard time. And I want to let you know that you're not alone. It's difficult out there. But you got to start small. Maybe find a different job field. Maybe figure out what you enjoy in the last couple months, what you spend your free time doing, and it probably wasn't related to your work. Maybe that's kind of telling you what type of field you should go into, maybe what you should apply into. You might even realize it might not even require college. And at the very minimum, maybe you just get a part-time job in the meanwhile. There's no shame in it. You're being responsible for yourself, and that's all that matters. Anyways, that's just my late night quiet rant at nighttime. I do have neighbors because I am renting right now. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. My name is Tom. Have a great, peaceful night. Take care. Bye.